Okay, we are live on Twitch.
Ta-da.
And whoops, there we go. Well, hello and welcome to the MinMax Show. Oh my god, no it's not. It's Bonus Pod, my bad. As if I ever introduced the MinMax Show. Oh my god, my ego's huge. Hello and welcome to Bonus Pod, the companion podcast to the MinMax Show. My name is Haley McLean, and today, just for a little context, we are streaming on my personal Twitch because Janet and Huber are currently streaming Resident Evil, and their stream's going very long. So we're just gonna stream on my personal Twitch. But today is a very fun day because it's the Haley Squared episode, and I am joined by Haley DeBoom. Hi, Haley. How's it going?
It's going. It's going. Happy Memorial Day to people in America.
Happy Memorial Day. And before I get into the context of who you are, your cool career, why you're on the show with me, can I very toxically say that the way that we spell Haley is the correct way, and every other way of spelling Haley is wrong?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is so nice to get like another Haley to back me up on it. Because it's like, oh, when you meet another Haley, you're like, oh, fun banter about how it's spelled differently. But then you meet a Haley with your spelling and you're like, this is correct.
This is correct.
It's good to be here. Yeah.
It's no extra I's, no extra Y's. Sometimes I see like Hailee. No offense to any Haleys out there with the name spelled that way. It just feels kind of like, why the extra? Haley gets it done. There's a cool comet named after that, same vibe. It's the best way.
Yep. Totally. Yep.
And then you also have all your other fun. You have so many fun names. Well, I act like everyone's like, Haley, oh my god, that's the coolest part of your name, as if your last name isn't DeBoom. But some context, Haley was on the MinMax show, I want to say in December. Was it Haley?
Yes, too long ago. Yep.
Too
back in
long ago.
December.
So, and on that episode of the podcast, it was sort of revealed that you have like the coolest career and you're also like the coolest person. And like you have the last name DeBoom, which was cool enough. And then also all this extra stuff of all the cool stuff you've ever worked on. Ben freaked out. You talked about Final Fantasy, Jurassic Park. He was flipping his shit, so excited to talk to you. But yeah, for people who maybe didn't catch that episode of the podcast, would you like to give just a brief little description of who you are, what you're all about?
Oh gosh. Yeah, so let's see. I used to work in VFX and motion capture. I had my first internship and first job at Industrial Light and Magic in San Francisco, which is the kind of like the Star Wars house now, but Star Wars and Marvel and Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, VFX house for Lucasfilm and Disney, etc., etc. Commercials too, random stuff. And while I was there, I was in the mocap stage, so performance capture, capturing all sorts of performances for digital stuff, digital content, games, movies, things like that. Trailers, a lot of trailer stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then after about 2 or 3 years, I moved to Japan right before the pandemic. Stayed for most of the pandemic in Japan, working at Square Enix, doing the same thing, motion capture and video games. The pandemic was pretty rough. I had some like crazy health stuff, so I came back to LA, worked at a startup, like a startup AAA, That's No Moon.
Oh.
Was there for about 2 seconds, and then got swooped up by Apple to do undisclosed stuff.
Oh, I get
So
it.
the
NDA
tail end
stuff.
of my, yeah, totally. The tail end is super duper. You'll never hear about it, unfortunately. But the early stuff is pretty fun with performances and things like that. So yeah, that's me.
That's super cool. I'm really curious about the motion capture stuff in particular. I just think that's such a cool area of tech to work in because yeah, anyways, before I hop into that, like I guess I was really curious, how did you get into that line of work? Like did you when you were younger, like obviously when we were younger, motion capture didn't even really like exist to the extent that it does now. But were you more interested in like the animation side or just like the tech-based side or what were your
Not at
vibes
all.
with? No?
Cannot stress. I don't want to say I like, oh, I fell into it because that's pretty corny, but no, I studied computer science and music at university or in college, and I had to do a work study, so I work studied at the performance spaces. So I was doing like stage, like opera, like putting out music stands kind of stage, but my degree was in computer science, and I was looking for internships. And I'm from LA, so I wanted to do something with Disney. Grew up going to Disneyland, kind of, really liked the stuff over there, entertainment, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney had I got to the interview stage for two internships. One was for a game studio because I always liked games, and the other one was for this stage thing in San Francisco. Um, I think the video game studio was based in Salt Lake City, and they like closed like a month after I would have been an intern, so that
Oh,
worked out.
jeez.
Or something happened with that where I was like, was that team? But I interviewed with ILM San Francisco, and they were like, have you worked with film cameras and stage stuff? And I was like, no, 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 no. I've worked on music stages. I was like, but I can figure it out, and I know how to use a computer. And they're like, cool. And I was like, all right. And so they're like, it's called motion capture. So I literally bought like a used textbook about motion capture and like speed read the thing like before my second interview. And I was like,
Oh,
I have to be an expert in this now. I have to know what's going on. And my boss was like, no, you really don't. You can't practice this until you get here. So
hmm.
um, it was fun. Yeah. So that's how it happened.
That's really
Yeah.
cool. And when you were working that kind of internship, what sort of stuff would you dabble with? Like, what were your roles and what you do?
Yeah, so I would say I want to say like, oh, this I don't know if this speaks for ILM now, but I'm pretty sure it does. Everyone does a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
So they really just threw me on the stage. I got there the first day, and my boss was out shooting for Ninja Turtles in New York, and so the rest of the team was like, the intern's coming today on a Wednesday or whatever day it was. They're like, okay, cool. Um, yeah, so we're gonna set up for a shoot. I don't know. And they're like, come on out. So like first day I like put my stuff down. I think I had orientation, stuff like that. And then went onto the stage and they're like, I'm just gonna show you step by step how it works.
Cool.
And so who the other Haley, who, became my coworker and good friend, was showing me like the steps of how to set up. And she was like, it's not working. Why isn't it working? Oh no.
Oh
What do we
no.
do? Oh no. So I was like, oh crap. Okay, time to turn it up. So I like called the company and I was like, "Hi, I work for ILM and I have a question." And they're like, "Have you tried this?" And so I came back out like the same day and I was like, "I think they okay." So I called the number and they said to switch the thing. And so she switched it and she's like, "Oh my God, it's working." Okay, thank God. She's like, "Okay, great. Welcome to the stage. This is what we do." It's like, "Okay, great."
Oh my
So it
God.
was really just a lot of everything. And I think the day to day would be setting up for shoots, shooting,
Cool.
cleaning the data, and then turning the data back to the team that was asking for it. So yeah.
Very cool. So very technical side of the motion capture scene. Would that be accurate?
I would say so. I would say I probably picked up the more technical side of stuff just because of my background. And as I noticed a couple of like kind of gaps or things that people didn't really want to do, and I was like, oh, isn't it annoying how we always have to do this? And everyone's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, let me write some software to fix that. Or,
Hmm.
hey, this team's got this cool piece of software. Let's like bring it over. And we don't know how to use it, but I'll try and figure it out for us, and then we can all use it together, that kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
So it was fun. Yeah.
That's super cool. When you watch media with motion capture acting in it, is there stuff that you would notice that me, who has no idea how the behind the scenes work happens, that you're like, oh, they did this, or oh, they should have done this? Does that stick out to you?
Um, Not really. Well, I think it comes down to like how the mocap becomes animation. There's
Hmm.
only so much you can do if you hand off beautiful data to an animator and they decide to do their own thing with it anyway. You can either get something extra cool or something kind of busted because they wanted to do their own thing. I think we all kind of probably have the same reaction to bad mocap slash animation, which is like, it doesn't look right. I don't know how to explain it, but it doesn't look right. So,
Uncanny Valley
I
vibes.
think, yeah, Uncanny Valley vibes, or just like it's too fast or it's too slow or whatever. I think maybe the only thing I would notice is like, how do I want to? One thing I learned from my boss, because he was a big performance guy, he worked with like Andy Serkis and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
was having intention in your movements. So sometimes you can tell when it's like a voice actor per se, just kind of going through the lines and they haven't been given like actions to do or something, and it can be a little muddled in what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of more nuancy performance stuff that I don't actually have like vocabulary for, but I'm always like, huh, I think that could be better, but I don't know how. Like, but I'm not going to be out here giving suggestions for anything.
Yeah, that was
So,
something you mentioned on the episode Drunk. So I was listening to it again recently because I wanted to remind myself of all the cool shit you've ever done. And something you mentioned was like, oh yeah, we got some requests to do some work for like a Jurassic Park for Jurassic World thing, and the directions were
Mhm.
just dinosaurs fighting. That you were like,
Yep.
okay, guess I'll learn how dinosaurs fight. That seems like the craziest Vegas. You'd think that I was really surprised to hear that. 'Cause I would think that the holders of that IP would be like, oh, we only want the dinosaurs to act like this. This is they'd be very precious with what happens in the scenes with the dinosaurs, but it was low key. Like that would happen sometimes.
Yeah, I think in that case it was like we need to see something here now. I do believe that was ended up being for the trailer. So if
Okay.
a lot of times stuff for trailer, they shoot it, put it in, render it really beautifully, put it in, and then it might not show up in final.
Mm-hmm.
Because too, like because it's digital, what's cool is that you can get a bunch of different camera angles for it, but also you can just shoot it again and again and again. So people might be like, "Oh, it's the same scene for sure," but it's like, no, no, we shot it 12 different ways and they cut it together however they needed it to get cut together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that was definitely the trippiest though, and I think that spoke more to the production of the film rather than the IP holders.
That's fair.
Um, but yeah, that was cool. I definitely my boss again nailed it with the performance stuff, and I had to learn how dinosaurs' knees are backwards, and figure out how to make that work because the guy who normally did it wasn't in. So I had to kind of
So you had
go
to learn
back and then
dinosaurs. You had to learn how dinosaurs move in all. What? That's so interesting. What a crazy day of work you come in. You're like, I gotta learn about dinosaurs today.
yeah, yeah, there were definitely some days where I had to like roll back from my desk and be like, guys, what are we doing? What is what is, what is happening? Like one very specific moment I can remember
I love
is
it. I want
I
to hear.
was
I want to
like,
hear what weird dinosaur things is stuck in your brain now.
yeah, well, like dinosaur stuff again, thank goodness for everyone else, like animation wise, like the animation director and my boss were super good
Yeah.
because I was like, is this enough bend? Is this enough bend? And they're like, no, okay, try this. And I'd just be like, all right, the slider goes here, the slider goes there, or whatever it was. And but I do remember one time cleaning data was crazy. And this one performance, it was a very famous Star Wars character like walking down a aisle. And I was just like staring and trying to figure out his hips weren't looking right. And sometimes like if the markers on the hips weren't in the right place, it could kind of make it look more like hippie than what you're expecting.
Yeah.
And so I was like staring for like hours on each take, like,
Like the
is
flirty
that
walk in The Sims or
is that
something
it?
instead of just normal.
Like yeah, like needlessly hippie in a way that, and so finally I realized it's because this character has like, how do I phrase it, like a guard, like a cod piece essentially. Darth Vader
Oh.
has like a cod piece on, and so like when you take that big piece of plastic off so you can like hide different levels of clothing,
Yeah.
you can then like look at the waist and double check that you're solving it properly. And then I had to take a moment, like when we were going to lunch, to be like, I just spent like my entire morning just like eye line with Darth Vader's crotch, trying to make sure that it was like looking right.
Oh my god,
And I was
dream.
like, this is,
Dream job.
it's like, surely there's a better way to do this because this is crazy. But every once in a while, something like that would pop up. But usually it was pretty cut and dry. Like the performance was great, the solve was great, the data's great. They can do their own thing and keep going.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
cool. I was talking to my friend who's an animator, and she was talking about how she feels really bad for the people that have to animate Shadow the Hedgehog because
Mm.
it's something I've never noticed, and ever since she's told me this, it's all I notice. His shoes are so huge, so when he just has to walk straight, he has to pick up his knees like an insane, like he's doing knee kicks almost. So when he's just walking down, or like in that Shadow the Hedgehog game from forever ago that was bad, he just is constantly knee kicking to like get his shoes off the ground. And she's like, look, she like showed me a clip. I was like, he looks ridiculous, but I just didn't notice that because I'm like, it's a hedgehog. Like I just didn't track. But yeah,
Yep.
like why'd they make his feet so big? They messed up the animators' lives for the rest of animating Shadow by doing that. But I guess it looked edgier and more like Hot Topic, cool guy vibes with the big like sneakers.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure in 2D they're like, this is perfect. No
Yeah.
notes. We can just do whatever we need to do. And then 3D they're like, no, it's a fixed object. Like it can't.
It can't
Yeah,
bend.
it. Yeah.
That's so interesting. I'm curious to hear your take too. I've read a lot of really cool like legal papers about, and this wouldn't really apply with the work you did because you'd be working for a company where everyone's assigning their IP to the company anyways. But I a lot of
Mhm.
interesting takes on like motion capture artists versus like animators, and how it's kind of like a collaborative event between like how much of the performance of the motion capture actor gets transferred to like via the data to the animator, and then would the work that the animator does with said data transform it into a whole new thing? Do you know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of interesting arguments that
Mm,
it's almost like two separate things and they make joint IP. And I saw some people arguing, oh no, the animator puts so much effort that it's almost kind of just like reference footage and then they make it transformative into new IP. It's obviously a case by case analysis, but I never really thought of that before. I know Andy Serkis was really pushing for like motion capped actors rights and that he wasn't getting credits in some Lord of the Rings thing or something, I want to say, and he was pushing for
yeah.
that. Have you ever saw that side of it? I guess it's more of a legal take, but what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it would come up more so when we were like when I was like an intern, I was like, how do credits work?
Mm-hmm.
Because I had never sat because proper like how do I want to say it? Like courtesy for like now that I've worked for VFX is to sit through the credits of every movie and just, applaud everyone that was actually in it. But a
Yeah.
lot of times a lot of folks don't make it into the credits even. And that's a whole thing with like who gets credit for which what and whatever. And mocap, depending on if it was like a specific house or a specific whatever doing mocap, they'll get credited as a mocap house. But in the case of like working at ILM at the time, we were just thrown into the digital artists tag or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it wouldn't really specify hundreds of people's role. You just see that big brick of names and you're like, I wonder what they actually did. Because I
Yeah.
would assume maybe they're all animators or maybe they're all this, that, the other. I think it came up every once in a while and it was like, oh, maybe it'll be like if there's like a union or a SAG thing, something will happen there. I was kind of surprised. I wasn't surprised, but I was hope somehow hoping, I think it would be nice. For instance, was it the Game Awards thanked the gentleman that played, or not thanked, they awarded the gentleman who played Kratos as like
Yeah.
character of the year or actor of the whatever it was. And he got up himself. And I was like, okay, I feel like you should get up and all of your stunt guys should get up and
Yeah.
all of your stand-ins should get up. Maybe your lead animator gets up, that kind of thing. Because if it's like, ooh, best character, it took a lot of people to make that digital representation of your performance work.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree. It definitely is case by case, and I definitely like. There's no way to quantify it because definitely depending on how good. So, for instance, how good my job is, depending on how good of a job I do, you get 100% of the best performance.
Mm-hmm.
But if, for instance, they don't give 100% performance and I deliver 100% of a 50% performance, then the animator has a bunch of work to do. Or they give 100% performance, but I do a 50% job capturing it. The animator then still has a bunch of work to do to make it work. So, it's how do you gauge like look how good of a job I did making this character work
Yeah.
because if I did my best, you didn't see my work. So that's, you know, yeah, it's a bit of a creative quandary that I don't know. Who knows what'll happen with that. But a
Yeah.
shout out to Andy Serkis. I know he's out there fighting. I don't want to see him fighting the good fight. He's fighting a fight for
He's fighting the
him to
fight.
fighting the fight to get recognition for all of his hard work. So
He's definitely
good,
the
good for
poster
him.
boy, right? Like he's in all the Planet of the Apes movies. He's obviously Gollum. He's in so many games and stuff. So it's fair enough that he's the one I always think of. But then I do feel bad, even you saying that. It's like, could I name another mocap artist besides like the ones who do their voice and also mocap, like Troy Baker or something like that? But I feel like that must be rare in the game space because a lot of times the skills of a voice actor don't necessarily translate to mocap acting skills as well. Not that they should, but I feel like it would be more rare to have like a Troy Baker who is both physically acting and voice acting at the same time, and that all gets captured and put in the game versus the mocap actor who does all the work in the in-game scene or whatever. You transferred that data. I love how you called it a beautiful, you were like, I transferred that beautiful data. I don't know what that means, but I bet that means something so important. And then it goes to the animator and they take it from there. I would imagine that's way more common than that voice actor getting
Yeah,
split.
well, it's such a bummer because it always comes down to cash money and contracts, right?
Mm,
So, mocap actors, I feel bad for them getting called mocap actors because and that is the proper term, mocap artist, that is the correct terminology, performance capture artist, things like that.
yeah.
But a lot of times it's, at least in LA and stuff, and probably San Francisco too, they are actors. And then they turn to mocap because there's an opportunity for work in that space.
Yeah.
And they just have to be comfortable wearing the suits with the balls on it and like, looking, somewhat embarrassing and being cheesy and stuff, but that's also acting in general. But
Yeah.
I think it's tricky or not tricky, excuse me. It is a money thing where a lot of times they just don't get paid the same rate.
Hmm.
So I personally would hope, I think Sony tries to display it a lot where they're like, we got our voice actor slash main actor in the whole time, all the cutscenes. You better believe they're in here. And I'm like, there's no way they shot, walk forward, strafe left, strafe right. Because then you see them strafe and you're like, that's not even close to what you should be doing. And then the
Yeah.
animator anyway, bends it an extra 40%, bends it extra this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bummer. And I hope folks do get more recognition. There's a lot of folks that I remember working with that would constantly pop up no matter what studio I was at. I was like, oh my God, it's so and so. Like, how are you doing? Like, that kind of thing. But it doesn't go any further than that, which is a shame. I hope someone out there, I'm sure, is working on a documentary or something to get more names out there, and hopefully they do. But yeah,
I think you're right. It's like it needs to be like a unionization thing. Otherwise, Hollywood slash those like big companies are just not gonna care. They view it as lesser work because it's not right in the forefront, maybe, and that's too bad. Because yeah, the physicality of games is like I don't know if have you played the Hellblade games, but I just played 2 recently. And oh my god, the weightiness of the animations in that game, even though like I didn't love the gameplay too much, but slashing into a human in that game and all the animations for like if she gets grappled, if you mess up a timed thing, someone comes in and gets you anyways. It's just like it felt so real that you can tell they spent thousands of hours in mocap suits probably trying to make it look that good.
yeah, it's so impressive. Like we did a lot of monster stuff or like background fighting, whatever. And it is people in suits for hours and hours and hours a day. Like, okay, I'm gonna die like this. Okay, I'm gonna jump and fall like this. Okay, I'm gonna jump and fall like this. And I'm like, dang. And we would spread it out. To be fair, we're not trying to like kill people, but we'd be like, okay, we're gonna sprint for 4 hours in the morning, and then we're gonna do tuck and rolls for 2 hours, and then we're gonna throw you off a 10-foot thing for the last hour. How's that work? Like, truly, just like they're getting put through the ringer for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's so impressive. I really want to do play Hellblade 2 or see someone play it or something just to look at it because the original one was so pretty.
Yeah.
And this one's, just as pretty, but
the animations are gorgeous. It's like I think Jacob Geller was talking in the last episode. It's like the prettiest game he's ever played, perhaps. Like it's so pretty. It looks like the cutscenes in every other game, but all the time. That's kind of the way I could describe it. Yeah, it's so good.
Okay.
And I'm personally curious because I'm such a nerd for this. Did you ever work with animals wearing their cute little suits with the little balls on them?
Oh my God. No, so I was always like a newbie in the field of sort. Well, I guess it would come across that I was new, and then maybe halfway through a production, people would be like, "Oh wait, like she really knows what she's doing in this case." So I would always be asking. I think it's because I'd always be asking people like, "What's the craziest thing you've ever done?" or "What's the who's the coolest person you've worked with?" Always try to keep it positive. But I personally never. I worked with a baby one time, like a toddler, because some systems have like size limits. And I know people that have worked with horses and dogs, camels, which is crazy to think about. Yeah, but I would say like how do I want to that seems like something I would want to give to animators to do just because like the way to attach you have to attach these like objects to animals and like maybe they're not comfortable with it or are you actually getting any good data out of it? Usually it's like a media thing where it's like, look, we even filmed this random dog is the actual dog. It's not. It's all animated. So but yeah, I'm trying to think of any kind of other weird things if we can. No, we had at ILM we had animals on stage but not capturing them. So that was that was fun.
Just to interact with the actors so it looked more like they were dealing with an animal or something?
Nope, it was a company mental health
that's...
awareness thing.
That's also
so valid. They were like, "Hey, we got to book the stage. We're gonna bring a bunch of rabbits." And I was like, "What?" Like when I heard that, and they're like, "Yeah, so today's bunny day. So if anyone's looking for rabbits, tell them to go through this way." And I walked out there, and sure enough, we were like, "That's a lot of rabbits." We were just like out on the stage hopping around. It was really fun. It was great for mental health.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, I always see those. I think that's so valid because I always kind of thought to myself, like when Red Dead Redemption has like all the horses with their like they had like a trailer or something where it showed the horses wearing their suits with the balls and they're running around like crazy. I'm like, is that good capture work? Because it feels like the horses are just kind of freaking out and they're running around and they're stressed out a little bit maybe. It's like, and animators know how to, they probably grew up drawing horses and learning how to animate horses and that kind of thing, so it would transfer a bit better. I feel like human eyes are more likely to catch weird movements with humans than with animals anyways, so there'd be a lower threshold maybe.
Yeah, I feel like too, in games specifically. I mean, we've seen some whack movie animals, right? And you just have to like suspend disbelief and be like, doesn't look anything right. And in games, it's kind of that same thing where I think was it Call of Duty, you sprint at like 60 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, the horse looks wonky, but if I don't, I want to turn fast, so I don't want authentic horse movement. I want to like just get going to where I'm going. I will say,
Yeah.
apparently for horses, the big issue with horses like running and stuff in the suits is that they sweat too much. And
Oh.
so the markers either fall off or the suit like shifts weirdly. So
Yeah.
you can only do it for like a really short amount of time. I was really surprised. I was like, oh yeah, horses are like animals that sweat. Like just
They'd
didn't
be
cross my mind.
sweating. Yeah, I guess because dogs just pant and through their paws, but horses be sweating like crazy. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
How often they wash in those suits for the humans?
Oh, every day. Every day, hands down.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh, they're gnarly. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like there's a couple days, there's a couple actors, a couple days where we had, at least at ILM, there's a big garage back door thing.
Hmm.
And there was one gentleman who was so sweaty that he like didn't even want to put his suit in the, we have like a hamper in the room. He's like, I put it in the shower. And we're like, okay. We like, I think someone like walked in, it was like dripping sounds. And so they like took it and they like threw it out in the whatchamacallit, like the shipping dock area for it to like bake in the sun. And then we like brought it back in to properly wash it
Getting
really well
extra
because
crispy out in the sun.
just really want to, it was like gonna, it felt like it was almost gonna like weigh down the machine too much because it was like super
It was
heavy.
that
Anyway,
soaked. Oh my god.
it was it was really really bad. And it was kind of funny because he like insisted on having two suits and we're like, no, you wear one suit per day, like that's how the system works. And he was, and his team was like, he needs two, he has to wear two. And we're like, he really can't, like, not get over it, but sorry. And then he came onto the stage, we're like, oh no, he's so sweaty.
Oh.
And so we found out very quickly why he wanted to, and we're like, we kind of wish he said something because then we could have planned around him switching suits or something because
Yeah.
yeah, he was very sweaty
That's a
guy.
tough line of work in if you're a big sweater.
Yeah, good work though. Amazing work. Worth it. But it was, I was like, what? Anyway.
You know it's bad if people on the side are like, whoa. You're like, oh god.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, this not TMI, but a little nasty. He had like a stick, like a weapon, and everything is like puffy and whatever. He was sweating so much that he'd whip the stick around and a stream of sweat would like like off the stick. And I was like, you're not even sweating on this. Like, how is this happening? And it was like, it became NBA style, and someone would come out and like mop we had like a gymnastic floor and like come out and cover the floor. And to be fair, like once he got on site, he was like, guys, I'm like, this is what it is. I'm doing my best here. We're like, nope, we're not gonna judge you at all. This is just crazy. Like,
That's
do
so
what you gotta
valid.
do. Yeah, yeah, 100%. And again, great. He was given 150%, so it was awesome. But I was like, wow, that's pretty wild. Like what's coming off of you.
Shout out to Sweaty
Yeah.
Guy. I bet whatever he worked on, and don't tell me because I don't want,
Nope.
don't even want to
Nope.
know who he was and have the story circle back to that poor man sweating up the floor. But I'm sure he's was a great character in something, and he looked great. That's amazing. Yeah, and I guess another thing I was curious about with you is you deal with so much different types of IP. Like, are you just signing agreements left, right, and center? How many NDAs have you signed in your life? A million?
A million. And I
Yeah.
did have a moment where I was like, do I need to check if I can do this podcast? You know,
Yeah,
like I don't know
fair.
how this kind of stuff works out.
Yeah,
So hence not talking about any current slash recent stuff
of
because
course.
that's, I don't, definitely don't want to piss any of those people off. And then keeping the other stuff pretty vague. But yeah, definitely, and especially like as a intern slash like new employee, I remember signing 5 or 6 things. The Square Enix one was funny because it was like translated from whatever the Japanese agreement
Oh,
was, so I had
yeah.
to sign both. And the translation, I was like, oof, this is not like, this is legal stuff, but it still felt really wonky. But I was like, I'm not gonna try and like fight anybody, but yeah,
Hmm.
it was weird. Yeah, pretty every place I've worked at has a pretty fierce set of contractual obligations to
Yeah.
just don't be stupid. Plus, don't. That's why I'm like super not around on social media because I'm not about
Hmm.
to reveal any stuff. That Disney had a really threatening like social media
I've seen
uh,
I've seen Disney
usage
social
thing.
media policies and stuff actually from just a client. That's probably the
Mm.
strictest I've ever seen.
Yeah, they don't mess around. I've grown up in the LA area. Growing up, there was a story that there's a lot of like daycares and stuff near Disneyland, the park,
Mm.
and daycares will do like murals and stuff to like be exciting for kids. And like Disney went around to all of the like local daycares, and if they had a mural with like Mickey Mouse on it, like casually painted, they like sued them to take it. Or not sued them, but like cease and desist the
Scary
wall
letter.
for yeah to like
For the
change
god
the
dang
thing. So
daycares. Come
for a
on.
daycare. I was like, no one's gonna drive past a daycare of a house with a mural on it and be like, oh, it's Disneyland. But I grew up with that story, and then so I had an awareness going into it, and
Yeah.
then yeah, it's par for the course. They had a really, really
Very protective.
fantastically threatening contract, yeah,
Yeah, we
set up.
we get a lot of like the work that I do. It'll be a lot of devs who worked at AAA studios who want to go off and make their own stuff. But not only do you have to
Mm,
worry about the NDA language, like what you're talking about, but like the moonlighting terms and all that kind of stuff. So they come to us and like, oh, I've been working on this game and during like while I've worked at this studio for a few years, blah blah blah. And I'm like, do you have a moonlighting policy at your current job? And they're like, oh, I think I signed something like that in 2005. Let me check. And it's just like anything you work on, even if it's for 1 second during work hours, like they own a piece of it. That even if you've never disclosed it, all the scary stuff, and now we have to worry like if this game pops off, are they gonna say, oh, hey, I remember when you worked for me for 2 decades. That's ours, by the way. Even if the IP
mm-hmm.
is totally different, all this kind of stuff. If you worked on it during work, using their equipment, any of that kind of stuff, it's like this new scary thing they have to worry about.
Yeah, I feel like Disney's. I feel like I remember reading Truly was like not even during work hours. They're like, if you make anything creative while
Mm,
you work here, it's ours. And I was like, that's crazy because it's not, it can't possibly, well, it's very enforceable, but I do remember working with a lot of people who had creative pursuits outside of
yeah,
their work and they weren't like immediately getting absorbed by, the
no,
company. But still, I was like, that is an amazingly strong stipulation to make. But,
yeah.
obviously people are going to do it anyway. So, or sign it anyway.
Yeah, what really sucks about that is it's the kind of thing that maybe it never comes up ever, but as soon as you start making money, that's when it'll become a problem. It'll just be something where you wait for a while. Oh wow, my game is actually doing great, and then, you'll get the cease and desist, the letter that says give me some of your profits. Yeah, remember that thing you signed when you were really excited to work for us and you haven't worked for us for 5 years? Doesn't matter. That's the really sucky part, is like, oh, this might be a problem, but you just can't advise whether or not it's ever gonna. Whatever they feel like doing, it could just be, even if it's not legally valid or not, they could just come and bug you.
Yeah, that's all it really takes. It sounds terrifying when you phrase it like that. But, I was gonna say, I will say during my time there, everyone I worked with was very like
Mm,
kind and understanding and not about to like rat you out to like, I don't think I'm gonna jinx myself. I don't think they have like a strike force like actively trying to like investigate all their employees. So I guess just which is about to, terrible thing to say. Don't be popular. I guess like don't come on the radar. But um yeah, it was yeah, I don't know.
that's any
Tough stuff.
company big enough is going to start implementing policies like that. It's just like a common. It wouldn't even be a Disney thing. I think most AAA studios probably have policies to that. Like any game you make in your free time, you have to disclose it to the company for them to approve it first. Even that might even be a softer version, which even seems harsh in of itself. But
No, I think I do. Yeah, I totally agree. I do think it comes down to how close is it, excuse me, to your actual job.
yeah,
Because you're like, oh, I'm a programmer, and oops, I also programmed this thing, or oops, I animated this thing, and it's also very suspiciously similar to my work that I did 2 minutes ago. Like, that's kind
yeah.
of iffy. But if you're like, oh, I'm a writer, and in my free time I paint, please don't come after my creative works of paint. That'd be a bummer. But yeah, so yeah, everything's everywhere. Read everything and then sign it anyway, I guess. But
You said that on me. I didn't say that.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I was gonna say both of us are like under legal, either legal
Exactly.
professional legal stuff or under legal like whatever. So
We understand each other.
new
We always have to think about the sentence first before saying it, right? That's the vibe when you start working with bigger companies dealing with all this very highly valuable IP. It's scary. Sometimes you're like, can I just say just that just then? And then you have anxiety at nighttime thinking about whether or not that'll ever be a problem or not. It's the worst.
Yep, yep. Definitely after my appearance on the MinMax show, I was like, oh no. like scrubbing back, like panicking, but I think it's
Aw.
okay. We'll find out. So,
I
yeah.
think you're okay. Don't worry. That I
That's a
guess.
legal that's a legal thing, right? I can take that to court.
No, actually, disclaimer: I'm not your lawyer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You
Damn.
gotta stop my anxiety in its tracks right now. For real though, if you do ever want help with any kind, I know you must be signing agreements in of itself all the time. Hit me up. Be happy to help you.
Okay.
We can make
Cool.
it more
Thanks.
formal so we're not both nervous.
Next time we're on, you just see like this big old like disclaimer statement like across the whole screen, like a watermark.
Yeah, I actually represent a
Ooh.
lot of different Haleys. I'm really excited. I've been getting a lot more like female game devs being my clients, which I really love. Love my male game devs, love you guys, but it feels extra nice to help like female game devs because it's just even my first year of practice, I think I had two, and then the rest were male, right? So it's just like, oh, I want to help, and then this last year alone, I've had like 3 or 4 Haleys. I'm always just like, hi Haley, it's Haley, and it's just like fun for them to be like, hee hee, hi Haley, and they're like so cute. I love my clients, they're adorable.
That's awesome.
That leads me into this next thing I want to talk to you about because Haley, no one at MinMax likes Overwatch. We talked about this when we were in San Francisco, and we trauma
Yes.
bonded
Okay.
over. our love
Okay,
of
Haley, but I
Overwatch.
would like to raise you. Okay, do we like Overwatch? Or do we just
That's
play Overwatch?
that's what I.
Where
Okay,
are we at?
the announcement I posted on Discord to say what we were talking about. It was like I said, our complicated long-term relationships with Overwatch because that's what you have with Overwatch. If I high level, I think Overwatch is one of, if not the best first-person shooter ever made. Just due to like what it does and like how much effort there is in balancing it. That said, holy hell, it's like embarrassing to like Overwatch and everyone judges you for
100%.
it.
100%. We are reaching, I think we're 2 years, right? We're 8 years in. We're about to reach the 10-year mark. And
That's
it definitely
crazy.
has not kept the luster of maybe World of Warcraft, like other Blizzard properties. Like
Yeah.
Blizzard makes games that will last presumably forever-ish in some form. And I think Overwatch has the most, except for I don't even think Heroes of the Storm is around anymore. Of the ones that have remained, I think Overwatch has definitely had the biggest like drop off in uh goodwill. I don't know. It's tough though because
Yeah.
I always am curious how much of that is due to the acquisition. What does the team look like right now? Like I immediately dive into the behind the scenes. Like what's going on the Overwatch team? Like
Yeah, all the
how are we doing,
controversies. It
gang?
feels like there was a year there where it was like 10 controversies in a row. I was like, Jesus Christ, you guys are making it hard to just play this for fun. You make me feel like an awful person for playing this goddamn shooter that I'm like just need to play every evening. Otherwise, I get upset.
Is my emotional safety blanket.
Emotional
No,
support
I
game, yeah.
emotional support. I dropped it for like 2 years after the
Did ya?
Cassidy thing and things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and then I was like, something in the back of my head like whispered, like, "Hey, you haven't played Overwatch in a while," and I was like, "Oh my god, I haven't," and jump right back in, man. And since we talked, I've been like back in the mix. And we're not doing great. We're not we're not doing well, and I'm annoyed because like when you're on a hot streak, it's the best. It's
Yeah.
like gambling. When you're on the hot streak, you're feeling great, and when you're not, it's the worst. And
It's
everything
true.
else in my life has pretty steady progression of getting better, somewhat, right? Like if I do this
Slay.
a bunch of times,
Love that.
at least it'll be well, no, but like if you bake a cake 50 times, you're at least better at setting up the cake,
Yeah.
and then you'll get something out of the oven. I could play 50 matches of Overwatch, and I could be either 2 tiers down or like borderline grandmaster. Like, and I genuinely feel like I'm putting in the same
I
effort
know.
because that's how teams work. But still, I just
Do
yeah.
you always
Anyway.
solo queue? Are you purely solo queue?
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely have. I don't know if there's a name for it, but like female gamer online. I'm not about to voice chat. I'm not about to participate. Like I don't want to get into the too dark of sides, but like you see a slur anyway, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna even risk getting on voice chat because
Yeah.
that's just not necessary. So yeah, unfortunately, a lot of that progression would be improved if I was like fully in the team mode of things. But definitely, yeah. So solo, ranked, a little bit of ranked here and there, and then I am like a heathen playing ranked. What is it? Open queue, which apparently it's just like the
What?
yeah the bastard the bastard
I didn't
version
think
of
anyone
the
clicked on
entire
that
system.
button. You be clicking on the
Oh,
open queue button? In ranked?
Because, well, here's the thing. Because, okay, so maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's my fault I don't have a consistent approach to Overwatch because I play the most rogue mode that they actually support. Because I want to play a range of my favorite characters. I have a good set of different characters for different scenarios,
Hmm.
and I need the liberty to switch to whatever is the suckiest role. So if no one's playing as a healer, a support, or the support is trash, switching over to support, try to bolster it there. It allows me to feel more aware of team dynamics. Ironically, more
Okay.
aware of team dynamics without actually having to be part of a team. Which, again, I'm not playing Overwatch correctly, and that's part of the problem.
Is it kind of more, does it
But
feel more like original Overwatch where, remember when, did you play it back when you could have six Hanzos and just like roll out and see what happened? And you could do that in comp. It was crazy that existed for like 2 years straight and no one was like, this is so broken. We just got used to it and like didn't care.
6 Winstons jumping around
Yes,
fighting.
5 Winstons and a
Yeah.
Mercy or something, and you're just like, okay, I guess I'm gonna lose to this. This is the stupidest comp of all time, but whatever. I guess this will happen.
It does have a little bit of that energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I think I do need it to be a little bit of a game. Or how do I want to phrase it? Like the cartooniness of the game lends itself to shenanigans like that in open queue.
Hmm.
Like I want the commitment of everyone trying somewhat their best of not quick play without the like full dumping on a certain section if you're playing like roll queue or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. I've always wanted to play like on a team of people that I know, which would be fun, but that would require admitting I play Overwatch, which is truly one of my darkest secrets.
Okay, well, I'm
So,
inviting you to
what are we gonna do?
play with my group of friends. I play with all my gay guy friends who are the best people to play Overwatch with because they're so fun and they're really good at Overwatch. And I'm inviting you to
Oh,
our next play because me and my friends play, not even lying, every night. So if you ever want to jump in and we just do quick play because we ain't trying to change the world.
okay.
We're just turning off our brains after a day of work, running around, jumping around, doing whatever we want. My friend Kyle like used to only play Mercy, and now he's a little Genji main, and he like loves it. And I would have never saw that for him. And just getting to like, I'll pick Ana just to gas him up and give him every Nano Blade and just see what happens. That's like we'll just play 5 games where it's like Nano Blading Kyle and just like see what happens. And it's the best Overwatch has kind of ever felt because instead of caring, we're just kind of like, yippee, use Zarya scoop and I'll throw my tracer bomb. Let's try that this time. It makes it a lot more fun. You're totally
Okay,
invited.
that's so fun. Do you roll 5 deep or are you not a full team?
We have it's 3 of us that play like pretty much consistently every night. Sometimes my partner
Okay.
plays, but he plays other games outside of Overwatch. And sometimes it feels like I'm like, come play Overwatch. He's like, I want to play Diablo 4. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. But like my friends and I play every night. So we'll sometimes have 5 stacks, usually just 4.
Okay.
99% of the
Okay.
time it's just 4. So we're looking for a fifth.
Heck yes. Okay, I do love the idea though that one person that's not in your group is like, why is the Anna only like nanoing the Genji?
I
Like,
know that's
I
the
kind of
thing.
want it. That sounds like a blast. When you're on the inside, you're like, this is the best.
That happens, yeah, because there's always one person, and it's so fun though because sometimes they're equally as spunky, and we'll never join like the chat with them, but we'll we're always be like teabagging to be like hi, like not in the toxic way, like the cute way. And the other day we had this game with this Reinhardt, and he was the best Reinhardt. I've played this game for almost a decade. Best Reinhardt I've ever played with in my entire life. I was Ana. He was insane. Didn't die once. I think he had 41 limbs. Didn't die once, was rolling them, and all of us were just writing in chat like, Ryan, we love you. Oh my god, Ryan, like have my babies, we love you. And he was just writing back, he's like, yes, queens, like having like fun with us too. And I was like, this is my like the highlight of my gaming year. Like this is so fun. And it's so sad how you need to have 5 people play or like 4 people playing with you to know that they're not
Hmm.
toxic, like what you're talking about, to in order
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Overwatch to be fun like that. Because oh my god, there's so much. Overwatch is a pretty toxic game. Not gonna lie, it's gotten better, but
Yeah, I have a lot of notes on the technical side for the Overwatch team, like in terms of like text analysis, voice analysis. They could be
yeah,
booting people left, right, and center a lot faster. But when Overwatch is actually fire at moments like that, like every once in a while there'll be someone who posts something inflammatory in chat, and then your entire team is like, "Oh No.
Yeah.
And
Just
just dogs
jumps
on
on
them
them.
no matter what. Oh, it's so fun. So
Yeah.
yes, I feel like I've tangentially been close to the true Overwatch experience, and hopefully I'm on the doorstep of the real stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, for real. And it's but it's definitely, I don't want to say it's on the way out, but like support
Yeah.
seems to be kind of like, oh, let's take out that mode. Maps are fading, kind of. I don't know what's going on with those, but
Yeah.
quick play is eternal. Quick play will always be fun.
Quick Play is
So
eternal. Are you playing? You told me in San Francisco you're an Orisa main. Is that still your main? Are you switching around?
that, yeah, I definitely loved Orisa's my default for sure, and both versions. I do rest in peace the grab ball or whatever that thing was,
She had a cool
alt
kit.
or whatever. I liked her kit then, and then they
Yeah.
announced her new kit, and I was like, I don't know. And now I love her new kit. Like I actually was just playing Overwatch this morning, and I don't know what was going on, but the spear, the javelin thing, was interrupting everybody's ult. I interrupted
Oh.
Maga's ult. I interrupted Sig's ult. I shot through to a Moira. I was like, no one gets to play today. And so like that was really fun
Yeah.
when you're really landing those. Um, so yeah, I play Orisa, I play Ashe, May, whatever. Sorry about it, not really.
I miss when she
Anna,
froze people.
Moira.
I didn't even care when I would get frozen.
Oh,
I would just
no.
give her a birth and then you're fine. I don't know why they took that out. It was so fun to be May and
Yeah.
freeze people.
Yeah, and there's a couple times when I play May that I forget that she can't freeze people. And I'm like,
Mm,
they're slowing down, oh, she doesn't freeze people. Oh no, get out of there, get out of there. But whatever.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, they made a couple of oh, I've recently been seeing people with Farah's newish kit where they
Yeah.
switched it to like the burst to the side. They're like not used to the the skill set yet, so you see Farah's like slamming into walls and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that works for me. Javelin, kill him, whatever. Um, but yeah, how do you feel about Venture? Have you been playing them much?
Venture's cool. I'm not good with them. My friend Michael's really good with them. But what's really spunky is they're from my city where I like canonically. Like they're from Halifax, Nova Scotia. I know.
That's so
And
cool.
it's like, what? We
That's
never get anything like that. It was so fun. And I didn't even believe it. And then I saw like I'm on our Halifax, like my local Reddit. Like yeah, everyone is because sometimes you see like T on there. And you're like, I know who that person is because my city's not that big. I can still sometimes see like drama unfolding. And someone posted like, oh, it looks like there's this game called Overwatch. Oh, never heard of it. And like this character Ventures from here. And I was like, oh, and yeah, they're from like my city. And they like went to university in Nova Scotia or something like that to study geology. So that was super fun. I think they kind of remind me of how I feel playing Reaper, where if I am in the middle of a fight and I have no cooldowns, I'm boned. I just die in 2 seconds. And it's like, all
mhm,
right, that was my bad. Have you played a lot of
mhm.
them?
I definitely tried them out, and I was like, yeah, I need to figure out their like sequence or whatever.
Yes.
Like the timing of everything felt wonky, and like I was like, I'm underground, and I'm coming up, and there's the good ventures. Like I can hear them coming, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting out of the way. I'm getting out of the way. I'm running, and like they still pop up and annihilate me. So I got to
Yeah.
figure out whatever that combo is of like actually surprising people because it's a really loud, arrival sound or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, I like the concept of their kit for sure, and it fits. It feels like they've been in there the whole time, like
Yeah.
roughly. Like
That's what
they
I
show
thought
up, and I'm
too.
like, oh yeah, there's Venture. But yeah, I don't know. There's a couple things too. A couple things like I think how they interact with Orisa. I thought Orisa could eat their ult. Things like that you just run into, and you're like, oh,
Oh.
okay, learning new things, whatever. Um, but
As a
yeah,
support
yeah, yeah,
with
yeah. I like
Venture,
them.
it was hard to know when, like, can I heal them when they're underground? I like tried that. I play a lot of Moira and they like ducked underneath and I was like spraying the dirt. I'm like, is this helping? I don't know. Like, I just didn't know how their functionality worked yet, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Timing that is a bit weird because I do feel
Yeah.
like you see them going in the ground and you're like, I can still see them to shoot them, but they're already invulnerable and they're already like mole man around. Ooh, sorry, microphone.
No worries.
But yeah.
Did you buy any battle passes? Like, so the people who don't understand Overwatch, like, what's up to, once Overwatch 2 hit, it's just like, it's free to play, but oh my god, the monetization of all this cosmetic items is kind of yucky and just weird. And they have new Porsche skins for Diva, and like, just the skin is $40.
Are you
Yeah.
serious? I mean that it's Porsche, but it's not even cute.
$40. It's not even cute. It has like I guess some custom sounds. It goes like vroom, 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 like when you fly or whatever. $40. And I think you get like a spray or something too, but who the hell cares about that? It's like all about the skins. And it's also a first person game, so you can't even really see your skin. You can just see your elbows. So it's like whatever.
That is so upsetting.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, hard pass. When they announced like, "Oh, we're going to Overwatch 2, get rid of your currency because it's not transferring." I was like, "Dang." I
Mm.
was like a millionaire.
I know, me
Bought up all the
too.
things I wanted and that was it. Yeah, and then they just announced or not announced, they just started, what was it? What's that blue currency? There's like a new
Oh,
currency.
for the ultra rare like battle pass final skin or whatever. What do they call them? The variant that's like ultra or whatever.
Yeah, it's the blue triangles. I got 0 of them.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. It's
Let's see.
just like I think there's now 5 types of coins in Overwatch, which is insane.
And I'm getting none of them. I'm not paying for any of them. I'm just gonna look broke. I
Yeah.
refuse.
Well, I mean, you have a lot of like you've played Overwatch long enough that you probably have like a cool skin for everyone at least, except for maybe the new ones like Venture or something, right?
Yeah, and I think too, I straight up forget what skin I have on
Me too.
because I don't like. I do like with the new, or I like the idea with the new skins of like new voice lines and new this, that, and the other. But the turnover on the content is not high enough for me to
Mm,
want to engage with it.
yeah.
So, yeah, yeah, for sure.
I saw that they well, they were kind of like, "Oh, we're actually making this better, so now it's anyone could get the new cool ultra rare variant skin even if it already happened." Because a lot of the I don't know, they're so backtracky, right? They're like, "There's going to be PvE stuff. We really promise. We promise. We promise." And then years later, they're like, "Never mind, not happening." That pissed everybody off. But I remember when the first season of Overwatch 2 was happening, that like legendary Genji skin, they were like, "You will never get this after. Like this is your one shot to get it."
Oh.
Probably there was an asterisk somewhere that said subject to discretion of Blizzard or something, so it allows them to actually legally release it later. But I remember I got the battle pass for the first season because I was like, it'd be fun to have a skin that reminds me of when I was first playing this game. Sure, because I have some skins from Overwatch 1 that were like I bought the pink like breast cancer awareness mercy skin. At least that went to charity, so whatever. But
Cool. Yeah, that one's
yeah,
sick. Yeah.
I want them to do more stuff like that. Like imagine there would be so many cute charities you could do. Like Farah could be like space camp for kids, like skin, like a astronaut skin. I don't know. Hammond
Yeah,
could
her
be
and
animal
Winston could have
testing
one.
or something.
Yeah, animal testing specifically.
Winston could
Oh
be
my
animal testing
God.
with Ham, and they could have a matching skin set or something. There's like tons of
They're
opportunity
just
there.
in like scrubs. They're like, are they getting tested on, or are they
Oh,
what
that's
is
a good question.
what's the rift there for those
I mean,
ones?
they had to have gotten tested on. They talk and stuff, right?
Oh
Like
no, for sure. But for the skin, are they
for the
like back
skin.
in their like tortured
They just
outfits? I
broke
feel
out
like
of the
it's
surgery room or something.
oh, like jailbreak outfits. That would be fun.
Ooh, that'd be cute. They just broke
That'd be
out of
cool.
the MAC cosmetic factory or something. Tried
Dude,
to
they just have like Joker makeup on their
contour
face.
lines.
It's terrible.
But
Oh my
yeah, it was fun
God.
when they did stuff like that. I didn't mind paying to own that game if it just meant that, and then they had a bunch of legal problems with loot boxes where I think it was fully not
Mm.
allowed in China because it's like it broke their gambling law, something or other. So then that was a huge market gone. So it was always kind of you could see that they were gonna probably lean that way towards Overwatch 2. It just sucked that it came at the cost of all that other stuff they promised kind of just going away because it's just anything to keep the game relevant long term. They just kind of do.
Yeah, it's definitely like there's definitely a passionate group of people making those skins and the
There's
content and
some
the voice
awesome
lines and
ones.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're doing really good work, but then they're clearly getting dragged towards whatever will generate revenue for the game,
yeah.
right? Like I'm genuinely curious. Like they clearly did not send around a survey that was like, "Who wants to work on the Porsche collab?" Like they were just like, "Obviously, this is what we're gonna do because we got this deal with Porsche."
Yeah,
Really want to know how that deal went down or who
I
was in the
know.
room for that. But yeah, because it's like I personally would like to see stuff that I wouldn't pay for, like a rework of maps that they've taken out
Yeah,
or a reintroduction of like okay, embarrassing. It took me a hot second to realize that the 2CP mode had been completely removed.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I thought they were like, we're going to work on it, don't worry, it'll come back." And then it just never I just didn't catch that it wasn't going to come back. Um and I was like, there's some great art in those maps, some great environments where I feel
Volskaya.
like you could
I loved
yeah, you could
Volskaya.
Rest in peace, Volskaya. What
I
was it?
know.
Volskaya, Paris, Anubis. Like
Yeah.
they have the maps. I would love some rework of those maps to
Yeah.
kind of come back, but
They let you
yeah,
run
what you gonna
around
do?
Paris in like the warm up area skirmish or something. That's like it. They don't even do that for
Oh,
all of the maps. Like they could do like you could have a little fun moon based. I know everyone hates the moon based one. That was the one everyone was that's the one that kind of made everyone want to get rid of 2CP because it was like impossible to capture the first point. Do you remember that map?
yeah,
It was when
okay.
Hammond came
That
out.
map. Oh, 100%. Well, screw Hammond, but that
Yeah, I agree.
unless I'm playing Hammond, and then it's a great choice. No, it's not. Um, I like that map because it felt so like if it wasn't in comp, it was a really cool map that gave like a kind of like like a Star Warsy kind of like, oh, the rebels
Yeah.
are trying to like advance on this point. If it was supposed to be balanced and fair, then yeah, no, it's garbage. But like conceptually, it was a totally different vibe. Trying to get in there, try to sprint around the corners, try to like catch a stray or not catch a stray, whatever. Um, you go outside for 2 seconds and you just
Yes.
gravity is gone or
The
whatever.
best times I've ever like gotten a kill around in that weird space area that was completely optional, not anywhere near any of the points, but just like if you saw Genji hanging out there, of course I'm gonna run out there and try to kill him. That's the most fun thing you could do in Overwatch. Slow mo kill a Genji
yeah,
in space.
yeah, that kind of stuff is great. Um, so yeah, a shame, unsurprising in terms of competitive, but also you have the people, bring it, fix it, revamp it, bring it back. Come on, I believe.
Yeah, I
But
think you're right.
oh
It's
well.
just like it's kind of sad that those maps that probably the original Overwatch team back in 2016 worked so hard to make are just sitting in an assets library, like not getting used. Like just use those. Like why not? You make a cool little random mode that uses Anubis for something. Who knows? I don't know. Just like
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Actually, to be fair, I don't use the mode, so maybe they do have some stuff in there, but like hero mastery or
yeah,
some things like that. Kind of throw some story on top of that instead of like the robot-y, futury tech, whatever vibe they got going. But whatever. I'm tired. I guess we shouldn't be given suggestions for free. If they want to consult with us, by all means, call us up.
we have the
But
hours. We have clocked the hours. Ask us our opinion, Blizzard, please. But yeah, no, I think it's an interesting one. It's I find myself very interested in the fact that I'm embarrassed about it because it used to be everyone played Overwatch, and now it's like you were saying, the goodwill, like the credibility, not just of the company, but like of the how they're using the IP and stuff, has just gotten a bit too capitalism-y and weird. And but the gameplay core is still there and it's still fun.
yeah. Have you tried out like Helldivers 2 or any of the more recent
No, I really want to play. I
shooter
feel like I
multi
missed the
okay.
window on Helldivers too.
Okay, same. Same. I was talking to
Yeah,
someone else about this and I was like, Helldivers is the hottest thing ever, and I somehow still feel like I missed the window.
yeah.
Like I don't know how that happened. Now it's dropping off. So of course now is probably when I'm gonna want to be jumping into it. But yeah, it was a really seemingly tight window and I just didn't engage with it fast enough.
Yeah,
And maybe it'll be a 10-year game too. It'll be like a Team Fortress situation, but
yeah.
like I don't know. So oh, I see someone in chat. Still super fun. Okay, I'm still in time. We got time.
Okay, cool.
We can wreck Helldivers. That'd be great.
That one seems like it's doing some really cool stuff with the community based events and stuff like that. Like it kind of reminds me, as much as I don't like Fallout 76 that much, like Fallout 76 was doing some cool. Oh, Kath just said, "Come play Fallout 76." That's spooky, Kath. It did some cool stuff with like community. Like someone nuked what's his name's base in Fallout 76 after all
Oh,
the Xbox
not
announcements.
not is it Spectre? What's that guy's name? The head of Xbox.
Phil Spencer, right?
Phil Spencer. Yeah,
Yeah,
Phil Spencer.
somewhat like the community came together and combined their nukes to nuke his base in Fallout
As
76.
they should.
As they
And
should.
I don't know I don't know how nuking works, but however quickly you can do it again, do it again. Do not give that man peace. Don't let him set back up somewhere. Just irradiate the world if it means making sure Phil Spencer can't set up.
Do not let
Like
him rebuild.
I
Keep him a
no,
rebel.
he should be busy doing business. He should not have time to play Fallout 76. I'm sorry, sir. No disrespect. You've got a huge company to lead and layoffs to not have.
Yeah.
So work on that before you can have your game time. Okay?
Or,
Just saying.
take a cut in your CEO pay and give that money to people who you will then not lay off and go play as much Overwatch 76 as you want.
Whoa, 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 whoa. You want a pay what?
A pay cut.
A pay a pay what does that mean? How do you mean?
He gets paid less.
But he's the CEO.
Yeah.
I think the numbers only go up though, right?
Oh yeah.
So like,
The shareholders might get mad.
how's that gonna work? Yeah. No, 100%. That's so it's so bogus that they don't take pay cuts. When I was living in Japan, uh, I'm a big fan of like Disney parks, stuff like that, but
Mm-hmm.
not a Disney adult. Don't get me started on that. But when I was over there, the pandemic hit the theme parks really hard.
Mm.
And, we had like, Disneyland closed for the first time ever, da 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 da, whatever. Disney Tokyo, the CEO was like, we're gonna try and keep people on. If this keeps going, I'm taking a pay cut. We're all taking a pay cut. And sure enough, they did. They took
Yeah.
pay cuts for like 2 years, I think. And I was like, wow, it's not hard.
I
Come
know.
on, gang. So, anyway,
Another thing's the
yeah.
employment laws. Like in Japan, I don't know. Don't. This isn't legal advice. I think this is right. In Japan, you can't fire someone without just cause. So they
Mm.
actually have to think about it, right? Otherwise, they're catching a suit. Otherwise, and then in the U.S. and I think pretty much every state, you can fire someone without just cause and just pay them severance or whatever. Same thing with Canada. You just pay them severance. There's some provinces where I think if they work for a certain amount, you can't do that after, like Quebec. But I think it
Mm.
largely stems from like the reason Nintendo isn't letting go of people is because like they're a good company. Like Nintendo's a good company, but it's also they legally can't. So I think a lot of their internal policies and stuff, while positive in a U.S. Canadian light, is also just because they're not allowed to just let people go, so they don't, and that's why we're like, wow, so healthy, but also they would just get sued like crazy if they were doing what American
They
companies do.
legally can't afford it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's brutal. Actually, sorry, total left field. Did you watch the Fallout show?
I watched like half of it, so not the whole thing, but I loved it so far.
Okay, I just started it last night. I'm on episode 5. But I didn't realize your family's in it. Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
McLean is her last name. Yeah.
Like, yeah, does that come up a lot? Like, if you see, have you seen your last name in media and been like, "Whoa,"
Well,
like, or do you have a reaction to it?
well, the thing that Ben freaks out about the most is my grandfather's name is John McClane, which of course is the diehard classic name, right? It's not even spelled the
Yes,
same. I think
yes.
it's McClaine or something, but it's phonetically the same.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
and like my I don't think anyone in my family's ever watched Die Hard because it never came up. And then when I told Ben that on like a party chat or something a year ago, he was like, "What?" I was like, "How are you all not freaking out that your grandfather's name is John McClane?" I'm like, "I don't know," but I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other things from like McClane. When she had the last name McClane, I was like, "Slay, yay, that's me." But I don't feel like it's come up too much.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And shout out to both Haley's, both of us, for having really cool stuff for Ben and being completely nonplussed by it. Being like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's, yeah,
that's my
okay.
grandpa's name. So I guess
Yeah.
so.
Sure, it's a hilarious coincidence, but cool.
You do have the best last name of all time, but I mean, Ben has gone over that. Are you tired of hearing that? Is it gotten to a point where you're just like, thank you and thank you?
No, I think no, I love it every time. No, I think it's the perfect icebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is great because depending on I don't want to say depending on my mood, that sounds wild, but like sometimes I'm just not feeling as social as other days.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm out and you have to introduce yourself, it's immediately someone's gonna be like, oh, da boom. And I'm like, whoo, yes, I know this. Yes, very fun name. Like awesome. Yeah, and it's great in places where if you have two Haleys or whatever, it's really easy to go by my last name.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say one thing that was funny when we were doing a project at ILM for several weeks in a row, and I was in charge of one of the pieces of software. So when we would roll cameras, we would roll a couple of different pieces of software. And so we'd be like, okay, roll it. And then they would say, roll it to boom, which would be my cue to do my thing.
Aw, awesome.
Which was fun. Yeah, and I knew what they were talking about. They were saying my last name. Well, one day I like wasn't there, and the director of who had been there weeks and weeks was like, I want to do the call out. I want to call it. And everyone's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so he goes, okay, roll it. Okay, roll it to boom. And the person was like, she's not here. And he was like, what? And they're like, to boom is a name. It's not the name of the it's not the name of the thing. It's like it's like a person. It's her name because there is like the boom mic in, film.
Oh,
So I think he kind of just like equated it with a piece of filming tech and was like,
he
yeah,
just
roll
all
it to
called
boom.
it "duh boom" instead of the.
Like, duh, boom, or something to that effect. And he was like so embarrassed. And so I come back the next day and he was like, you embarrassed me. I was like,
You
ow,
did that
I
yourself.
wasn't here. But it was a good laugh. He was a good sport about it. But
Oh, that's a
yeah.
great anecdote. Poor guy. I mean, he should have paid attention and known that connected the dots of your last name, but still, poor guy.
Yeah, I guess it just never came up. So
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
it's a fun name to have. So for sure.
Very cool. And I know we're a little over an hour, but I was curious to hear if you don't mind just a couple minutes. You did you start Elden Ring for the first time and now you're prepping for the DLC? Are you like an Elden Ring girly from Soft girly?
I definitely not a FromSoft girly. I tried to be a FromSoft girly because I was like,
Me too. I failed.
this is I was like, it can't be that hard, which is no, it is. It's really hard. So I played, I think maybe the original Dark Souls or Dark Souls 2 or something. And I just kept running into a wall of like, oh, you're supposed to die. You're supposed to have to, kind of do the sequence over and over. And I would get impatient. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, forget it. Elden Ring came around and I was like, this for whatever reason, this is gonna stick. I can feel it. And yeah, so I played it through probably like a year after it came out. I think I was getting a new computer or something, and something delayed it for me. But
Mm-hmm.
frick loved it. Got to the end. To be fair, I am a full like I will spam like the cheats. Like for the Elden Ring, there's that cheat in the Blood World where you farm silver drops of people, which is a really fun thing to say with no context. But you can like kind of finagle your way into an area where you can level up really quickly without actually having to like be good. And so I definitely would like spam my way through the game with magic. Like I'm definitely not out here like fully mastering the parry system or whatever, but I started New Game Plus like once I finished that game or that playthrough.
Yeah.
I got maybe partway through Limgrave and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm good. This was fun. But I set it up so that I would be going through with a Twin Blade, which is like a pole arm kind of dealio, and more physical. And now I'm getting ready for the DLC. And so I opened it back up and I was like, okay, now we got to know what we're doing. Let's have fun. Let's get to where the DLC is going to be at and go from there. So it's a blast.
Cool.
I'm having fun all over again, and I'm definitely in that phase where I don't remember the buttons really. So I like called torrent, ran into battle, thought I was sprinting, and jumped off torrent into like six dudes and got immediately destroyed. So like we're having fun. We're just having a good time. So it's been a blast. Yeah,
That's
I'm really looking
fun.
forward
I
to
I
it.
I tried with Elden Ring. It's hard when you're like, I should like this, and I just didn't. But it's such a pretty game. All the monsters look so cool, and I think I would like it. It never hit that click mark. Maybe I didn't play it long enough. But did you have to play it for 5-ish or something hours before you were like, oh, now my brain likes this? Like, what was that like for you?
I definitely I'm trying to remember the sequence of how the game starts. You start out and you're like kind of in an undergroundy area for a hot second, and then you kind of make your way out, and then ba Limgrave, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a couple of I think it takes a couple of sites of grace to get Torrent, the horse, and then once I was horsed up, I was like sprinting through the fields. And the moment that made it stick for me was the lake. There's a lake. I guess spoilers for Elden Ring, which not, but whatever. There's a lake, and I was like, oh, that looks like an easier way to go across because the other way had like a knight in armor or whatever. So I'm like, woo, let's go. And I go across, and a dragon just like comes up out of the ground or comes down or whatever it does. It appears. And I was like, oh no, this is not good. And it immediately just sucked me into the like character of the tarnished person being like, get out of there, get out of there, go 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 go, like just kind of like
Yeah.
really engrossing myself in the character. I'm usually, with the exception of literally Overwatch, really into RPGs, story games, things like that where your character is either you and you're experiencing the world, or like your character has a very strong sense of who they are and you're helping them do what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
um and so I needed a little bit of that for Elden Ring. And in that moment of panic of this giant dragon coming from wherever, blah, 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 I like melded with my character and I was like, okay, we're in this. Let's do
Hmm.
this. Elden Ring, though, compared to the other FromSoft games, definitely has more story. Not a lot.
Yeah.
But people are talking, which is cool. Um, you know. But
The
yeah,
bar's on
so
the
I just
floor.
like
People talk.
yeah, I was about to say like one person is talking to you. Um, Amazing. But yeah, no, if you bounce off it, then you bounce off it. That's
Yeah.
whatever, by all means. But I do think too, one thing that helped, at least someone else I know who was bounced off Elden Ring, is the like I was gonna call it the suck you in system. I don't know what it is. It's like the golden finger. Someone in chat will know what it's properly called. But you can bring a friend in to play with you.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that inherently makes it more engaging, but
Yeah.
yeah.
The buddy system.
Yeah, I think the buddy system. But yeah, the kind of the jump scares and the environment of the world really like got me into the mix finally. So I'm looking forward to the next From Software, not DLC. But
Hmm.
if it doesn't hit, I'm also not gonna like be worried about it. So
Does it make you want to
yeah.
backtrack and play any of the previous ones, or are you kind of just looking forward from soft wise?
Yeah, I think I'm honestly just looking forward because I think a lot of it
Mm.
was the fact that the world is is more open than the previous ones. I think if Dark Souls 1 or 2, whatever it was, I remember looking up like how to get around, monster. And they're like, "No, no, no. You have to beat them to go forward." And I was like, "Okay, not how I like to play games. If I want to, try and sneak around a corner, which Elden Ring super lets you do, there's like either a crumbly wall with a hole, and usually you find yourself in a worse position, or at least I do.
Yeah.
But at least there was another way to like get around a thing. So uh yeah.
I'm most interested, if not Elden Ring, maybe Bloodborne. Bloodborne seemed like I might
Mm.
vibe with it. I know Janet vibed with it, and that kind of led her to Lives of P. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, and I feel like I like games that Janet likes, so maybe I could have the same track. But there's just also so many other games coming out that I feel like I'm constantly playing catch up that I just don't have time to test if I'd like Bloodborne or not. Too much work.
Ye- Yeah, I think people would love to watch you try and play Bloodborne though, because there is like a communal sense of like, you can do it, go, 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 get it, get it, get it. Like that would be
Yeah.
like fun to see. But no, I totally agree. Janet definitely, I don't know what it is with her, the way she recommends games, because like I definitely don't have the same game taste as her.
Hmm.
But every once in a while on Twitter, she'll like recommend something, and I'm like, you know what, Janet, I will play that. That sounds really fun. Like I just finished Duck Detective,
Oh yeah, she
which
was in
was
our
a
Slack this
really
last week
fun
being like,
time.
"Yo, Duck Detective was really fun. You guys should play Duck Detective," like to all of us, all the other cohorts. And I was like, "Oh, cool."
It was the perfect like bite-sized game that I want to use my Switch for that I don't.
Oh, my poor
I was
Switch.
like,
Yeah,
oh, that poor Switch is either
abandoned.
crusted with dust or nonstop playing of whatever I'm playing. I think I played Hades on Switch, and so it
Ooh,
was like a Hades machine for like a month, and then nothing for a year, and then back on it and whatever.
mine's crusty and dusty.
Um,
I feel bad. If I got a
yeah,
Steam
well,
Deck, I
okay.
never looked back.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair. That's totally fair. I keep thinking the Switch is gonna like, well, not, what am I trying to say? I keep thinking Switch 2 is gonna pop up,
I know.
and I'm like, okay, when Switch 2 comes around, I will jump back in and try some stuff or whatever. It's not coming. I don't believe. I don't think Switch 2 fake. It's not real.
Didn't they have the Ben did mention there was some kind of investors meeting or something, and they were like, "Oh, you can just call." What did they? It had the most generic name. They're like next Nintendo console or something. Is like the official way they were talking about it. But
Yeah, I do feel it was like the follow-up in the beloved Switch franchise. Like they
yes,
truly were like
something
not
long.
about to commit to any sort of name for it.
I don't
Um,
envy the people who have to come up with the name for that because I feel like no matter what you come out with, it's never going to be good. If you want to call it the Switch 2, they'll say, "Oh, generic, of course, whatever." If you call it something
mhm.
weird like this swap or I don't like I can't even do it. It's like you know how people say try to come up with a better word for like whipped cream and you're just like fluff cream or there's it's too hard. I don't know what to say.
I've never thought about that. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I'm sure I read this in an article somewhere. I want like Tweech to be a thing with two eyes.
Tweet.
And I want Sweech, and I wanted to
Sweet.
be like, you figure out how to say it. We're gonna call it the Sweech. You figured out we, so you can figure out Sweech. And
Sweet.
then just watch everyone struggle to say it. Yeah.
Ah.
Now I'm stuck on this whipped cream thing. That's good.
Yeah, hit me.
Never
What would
mind.
you rename whipped cream? No thoughts, just like first thought. Go.
Okay, my first thought would be like the supermarket generic version. Like for whatever reason, I'm thinking whipped cream is like Kleenex. So I'd be like
Yeah.
com- compressed sugar foam.
Oh, you're going like
Like, 'cause it's like Like in a can?
Yeah. That's just like
Yeah.
what you describe it if you're like get caught in security at the airport or something though. It's like,
Ma'am, did you bring compressed sugar foam with you? And you're like, oh,
get her. She has
sorry.
compressed sugar from in her bag.
You'll never take me alive. I'm just like sprinting with the
Spraying it
spritzing the
everywhere.
whipped cream.
Cloud
Yeah.
Delight, says Kath. That's a good one.
Ooh.
Whippy Fresh.
These feel like brands, like really good brands. Like I would 100% buy
Would you buy Whippy Fresh?
those.
Would you buy Cloud Delight?
I
Cloud Delight's good. That sounds like a coffee adder or something.
like, isn't there what is it? Something Delight. International Delight is the name of cream, right?
Arrow rated sugar slop.
Sugar slop.
That one's not
You
as
had
good.
me until slop.
Yeah. I don't know what arrow rated even
sugar.
means.
It's like foam, right? Like a foam.
Arrow rated.
thing.
Oh. Oh, is that why arrow bars that have bubbles in them are called that? Oh.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Oh, I guess we should clarify. Is it like the Cool Whip where you pull it out of a container, or is it the
Like
the squeezy kind?
squeezy.
Squeezy, yeah. Because
Squeezy
Ready Whip is a
foam.
brand, and it sounds terrible. Squeezy.
Ready Whip isn't good. Yeah.
Uh,
It makes me think it's going to be red.
Oh,
That's what I always
yeah,
thought. I know they're playing off like it's ready to go and here it is. It's whipped. But
yeah,
I never liked that.
yeah. Huh. Was it my favorite thing? Cotton candy. Dad's beard.
Oh yeah,
that's
Barba
cute.
Papa is. Yeah, I remember learning that in school. That's a great one, Kath. Barba Papa.
I don't. That's Italian. I'm so sorry. Why did I do the voice?
Very French. Perfect accent.
Oh my. They're not gonna let me in Tickleback and be like, we know what you did. Oh my goodness. Oh, I was gonna ask you, and I guess I'll ask you on a public forum. Are you popping to LA for the meetup in June?
No, I'm not. I was thinking I might be able to go to Summer Games Fest, but then I just wasn't able to organize my thoughts quick enough, unfortunately.
Yeah, is that well, yeah, I don't go, but I am a civilian, so are they doing tickets for that, or is it media only for Summer Games Fest? You can
I
go
don't
as a
actually
as a
know.
plebeian?
I was gonna
Oh.
go for MinMax, and then I was trying to figure out if I had to do a work-related thing the same weekend, and in my time discovering that I actually was free, the time had passed for organizing the trip, so I was like, oh, well, whatever. But Charles is
Oh,
going
rats.
for MinMax on our side, so he'll be going.
Oh, fun.
But
Okay.
yeah, unfortunately, the next time I go to San Francisco or anywhere in California, at the very latest, it's going to be next March again for GDC. But
For GDC.
I'm
Okay.
trying to go to more game events, so I might be there sooner. Honestly, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can meet up.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious what they're gonna announce at KiwiCon. It'll be fun to see.
KiwiCon.
So yeah, maybe they'll predict it. Maybe MinMax will get it right on the money with the show if it gets picked. So I don't remember the name of it, the tier list show that's on the board. So
Oh yeah. We need like a Summer Games Fest bingo. I feel like at this point we could get pretty good at predicting what kind of weird hijinks could happen.
I would love a Summer Fest bingo and a Keeley bingo. Mainly, I would appreciate the Keeley bingo from Ben's perspective, because Ben seems like a real big, I don't know if it's even a big observer of Keeley. So I'd like to see Ben's
Observer
take on
seems
Keeley's
correct.
mannerism.
Yeah, he observes him pretty hard.
Right. He's pretty on the nose with watching everything that Keeley's got going on.
Yeah.
So I'd love 2 bingo boards to watch the shows with.
Maybe
But
we'll
yeah,
have to
that'd be
look
super
into
fun.
that. That'd be sick.
Yeah, that'd be cool as heck. Oh my goodness.
Well, thank you, Haley.
Yeah,
for
and then
joining
also,
me. Oh,
can I ask for one super corny request of the
yeah,
MinMax team while I'm here on the public forum?
of course.
Can you stop putting all the good shows on the same ballot? Because every week there's only good shows.
Oh my
And
god.
Ben is actually pretty good about not bringing them back as options. And I'm like, but there are many good shows here. Please don't dump them all.
You should have
I don't
seen
know.
us trying to take down Spicy's interview. That it was like we were like we're like, this has gotta win. Like I mean, I remember Leo and I we did when I was in Minneapolis back in November, we played like Hitman together, and then it was like everyone was like, "Oh, more of this, please!" Like, got like 100 comments, like more, and we're like, "Okay, let's chuck this at Spicy's interview. It's gonna destroy it." didn't get got like 20 votes, and Spice's interview was just like 1,000,000 votes, and we're like, oh my god, they wanted their insatiable thirst for Spice content. It's just so, you never know what's gonna happen. Thirst Council lasted forever. It's really fun to see like what ends up taking certain shows down, because I think Spicy's interview took down Thirst Council, and then GQ took down our GQ episode. Oh, I can't remember, but you're right. Ben is good about not bringing them back, and there are some that get. And it's funny because we'll have like our morning meetings, and someone will be like, "Oh, what about if we did this?" And Ben will be like, "We already tried that. They said no." It's like, oh,
yeah, and I'm like, Ben, compared to the other stuff, it's not like it's not like we burned the idea forever. There has to be a trove of like truly dozens, if not hundreds, of really good ideas.
There's so many
that are just like.
He has a Google Docs, and sometimes he'll scroll down to check if we've done something, and it's just like so many ideas that I'm like, where did, and that's what New Show Overflow is all for, I suppose. But you're right. It sometimes feels like we lose some real good ones. I'm like, what could have been? Ugh.
Yeah. It was fun though, a couple weeks ago or whenever that was, with the multiple shows happening simultaneously.
Oh, yeah.
The Subway Surfer Min-Max crossover of my dreams. Yeah, it was fun.
It was Kelsey fixing stuff and Leo with his shop in Final Fantasy 76 in the background. And it was I'm embarrassed to admit that my TikTok feed kind of just looks like that content, because the algorithm knows that's the only way I pay attention. Like Family Guy episodes on the bottom, Subway Surfer on the top, the actual video I want to watch in the middle, and I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. What have I become?
100%. Well, I constantly get tricked. Not constantly. It's at least once per scroll or whatever, per session, where it pulls up one of those side-by-side videos of like, here's the craft, and then here's the content you're watching.
Yes.
I don't know why I think at least once that it's going to be a useful craft.
It's never.
They get me just enough to be like, oh, that'll be, and I'm like, no, snap out of it. That's how they get you. Keep going.
It'll be like slime getting rubbed against like a piece of wood, and you're like, how is this how is this clean? Is this cleaning? Yeah. Is this like crafts?
They don't even offer a title anymore, because it used to be like, check out how we made the shoebox, and they like put a shoe in resin and pull it out, and you're like, this is not going to go anywhere. And it's just garbage. Yeah. Anyway, what is not garbage is all the great stuff you guys are putting out. So it's super fun, and thank you for letting me take up one of the iconic shows of Min-Max.
Oh my god, are you really kidding me? Ben and I were like, we need Haley DeBoom. Our community was like, where's Haley DeBoom? Like, getting after
Haley DeBoom was wondering where Haley DeBoom was. I was like, what am I doing? I gotta get back on the Min-Max stuff.
Love it.
But every time, just something kept coming up. So yeah, happy to be back.
So happy. I'm sure I'll have you back again, and I will send you my Overwatch ID after we finish recording, and we will play Overwatch together.
Cool.
Not even for the content, just so we can have fun.
Yeah, that'd be super fun.
Awesome. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Haley, for joining me and giving me so much of your time.
Of course. Blast. Total blast.
Anything you want to plug? Anything you're doing? I guess you're the NDA queen, so maybe you can't describe anything.
I am. Yeah, I was going to say, how do I plug nothing? Yep.
Do you love the work you're doing right now without revealing any details?
Of course, I absolutely love the work I am currently doing. No, yeah, having a total blast doing what I'm doing, and looking forward to people enjoying it at some point in the future.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Love it. And thank you everyone for listening / watching. Someone just pointed out I've said Overwatch 76 and Final Fantasy 76. I did not realize that. Whoops. Oh well. They'll exist sometime in the future. If we live long enough, those games will exist. So let's just wait. Thank you so much for joining. This has been Bonus Pod, the companion podcast to the Min-Max Show. And we have a few things going on this month. There is Doc Lightning that's happening right now. So people are working on their documentaries to send in. I believe, if not today, then maybe tomorrow, we see the reveal for what won the Min-Max 5-year anniversary meetup. I think Asheville, North Carolina is still in the lead. And it had the lead from the first 10 minutes, and it's just held the lead the whole time. So get some East Coast side love for Min-Max people. Looks like it's probably going to be held there. We'll see, though. I don't know if it's closed yet. And for New Show Plus, actually, I can't remember because we didn't have a meeting today because it's Memorial Day. Let me see what the options are for New Show Plus. We've got 100 things. Jeffem and Hanson are going to try to each list 100 things. And they will each get a prompt separate, so we'll see who will win there. Arcade Adventures, Janet and Huber travel to a real arcade in LA That'd be fun. Keeley Core, the tier list. Oh, this sounds like it's up your alley, Haley. We create a tier list of games based on how likely they're to appear at Summer Games Fest this year and how precisely they're in Jeff Keighley's wheelhouse. And Baby Talk, Look Who's Talking To, which is the episode that won last week, was Jeff and Ben talking about dad stuff. So this is a follow-up episode where they take calls from the community for baby parenting and all that kind of stuff. So those are the options for this week. So if you support MinMax on patreon.com/MinMax with 2 N's, you can vote on any of those things. Yeah. Thanks again, Haley.
Yeah, thanks. Super fun.
Bye, everybody. So people on Twitch, let me see who's live. I think probably MinMax still. So I could just send you over to MinMax because we're on my personal channel. We've completely forgot that Janet and Huber were streaming the Resident Evil stuff today. I didn't know it was going to go so long. So
I think it's a marathon, right?
yeah, I didn't know how long that game was, which apparently is long. So we should raid MinMax. Raid channel. Why does this look so weird? Yeah, following. Who I'm following, obviously. Resident Evil 2 Marathon with Janet and Huber. Perfect. Click on that. Crowboy says, Haley raid incoming. Are you in both chats, Crowboy? You sneaky. All right, thanks everybody on Twitch. See ya.
About it was so good.